If you're ready for next level audio for your Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, you're gonna want to stick around to see what Trail 7 has put together for you. What's up everybody, Mike here with Trail 7. Today we're introducing, like I said, a very high level, next level audio system for your Jeep Wrangler or for your Jeep Gladiator. This is Trail 7's Hertz and Audison full plug and play bundle. This is going to include a full speaker set, amplifier sets, power sets, everything you need for a full system upgrade into your Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator. Today we're specifically talking about the 2024 Plus, because if you have a 2024 Plus, you'll know that there's a change with the soundbar, a change with the radio, a couple of changes with those 2 years, which puts the 24 Plus in a different category of an audio system upgrade than what we've had previously. Now, if you have an 18 to 23, don't worry, we do have a full plug and play Hertz Audison bundle for you as well. We're just showcasing a couple of different options over here. This is the Prima speakers, the Audison Prima speakers. This is the Hertz speaker set, so we do have some plug and play bundles, but today we're specifically talking about the 24 Plus, and today we're going to show you how to install the speakers into the 2024 Plus. We have the knee speakers, we have the soundbar speakers, we have the dash speakers, etc. We're going to show you how easy these are to get into your Jeep. So the knee speakers in an 18 plus Wrangler or Gladiator, definitely they're a task, they're a chore to take on. It's not difficult by any means. If we were to put that onto a difficult meter, I'd probably rate that pretty low. It's time consuming. There's a lot of screws, there's a lot of panels to come off. It just needs some visual display, which we're going to show you how to get through it in order to get you through it. And that's our goal, is to make sure that every customer makes it over the finish line with the fully installed kit. We hear a lot of what does this sound like post and pre. We were in the past doing some post speaker sound clips. However, we stopped doing that because we didn't feel that they were really true of what you're hearing, right? If you're listening to this on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer, on your Sony earbuds, your Jabra earbuds, your Apple earbuds, everybody's going to hear something different, right? We are going to do a before and after clip at the end, so please stick around for the end so we can show you or let you listen to a before and after. We're also going to show you what the meter shows on the graph of what the before speakers, where they're hitting and where they're highlighting on their dB levels, etc. And then the post with the speakers installed to show you what that looks like on a chart afterwards. So you can visually see what it looks like, but then you can also hear what it looks like, and we'll hopefully be able to give you a good enough demonstration to let you know that these definitely sound better afterwards. Now, these speakers are also going to get paired into an amplifier bundle. Today we're installing them without an amplifier, so if you have a factory amplified Jeep, a non-factory amplified Jeep, or if you're putting them into an amp bundle, these speakers are still an upgrade. So today we're going to install them without any amplifier. This Jeep is non-factory amplified, and it does not have one of our aftermarket amplifier kits. This is just a straight speaker swap, and there's definitely an upgrade just that. Now, this is a step of an upgrade. What we hear a lot of questions from customers is, how loud are these over my factory speakers? They're definitely going to be clearer. Absolutely, they're a better speaker. How loud they're going to be really is going to rely on the power that they get, right? So that's where your amplifier is going to come into play. These are going to sound louder because they're clearer, they're crisper than your factory speakers, but they can handle a lot more power, and they're really intended to reach their optimal performance level with an aftermarket amplifier, which is where our bundle comes into play. So you can build this into steps. You can install the speakers, see how that sounds, see how much more power you want. Do you enjoy just that clarity and crispiness that you're going to get after the speakers, or do you want more power? Do you want more after that? Well, then you can grab an amplifier bundle kit that's plug and play as well, and you can give the speakers that power that they're after to really put them at the level that they're wanting to perform at. So we're going to show you today how easy these are to install. What we did also is we put together a very detailed manual, so we're going to use that manual as well as our video, and both of those combined are going to get you to the finish line. So you can revert to the manual if you want to see a how-to guide, and you can use it along with the video. There's a couple of tricks in this video that we're going to show you that are a little bit of a shortcut from the manual. The manual is a very detailed of everything to get you through the end. The video is going to show you that as well, with a couple of little tricks that may make it a little bit easier, maybe a little bit faster to get through. So let's talk in detail exactly what we're going to be installing today. Like I said, today's install is for a 2024 Plus because there's a different configuration in the Jeep soundbar. The 18 to 23, we have these pods here, 100% plug and play. You take the old pods out, you put the new pods in, and this pod has the speaker built into it for you. No cutting anything on your side. As you see here is how it comes. Today we're doing a 24 plus. Since the soundbar changed, we don't have pods available yet for the 24 plus. These are going to be a different configuration. So let's walk through that what we have here. This is the Audison Prima bundle here. The Audison Prima tweeter for the dash is a component set. This comes with its own crossover box, and this does have dB ratings that you can adjust. So you can adjust it from 0 to 2. You either have 0 or 2. So if you want a little bit more high out of that, you can adjust the little switch on the side there. For the knee area, a part of the front also is a component 6.5-inch speaker. I have two boxes here, what I wanted to show you. When you order the bundle, it's going to come like this here. It's going to come loaded in the knee panel box, just as you see it here, which is an empty box with the polyfill, with no sound deadening, etc. So what we did is we partnered with SoundSkin Sound Deadening, and we came out with the kit that wraps the knee pod in sound deadening on the outside and on the inside. So we have this kit available that you'll apply the sound deadening patches, as well as the polyfill on the inside, of course, and the sound deadening on the inside. And it just helps the knee pod to be a little bit sturdier and to help that 6.5-inch speaker sound a little bit better and perform better. So this is how we're going to install it today using our kit. If you order the bundle on your own, you're going to receive it without it, but then you can also add to include this into your bundle, and then you'll just apply the patches and pieces on your own. So that's the dash, that's the knee pod. Let's talk about the soundbar. So I want to spend a minute talking about this because they're not 6.5-inch speakers that are going in the others, right? However, don't be deceived or discouraged by the size of these speakers. This is a 4-inch coax Audison Prima speaker, and this is a 2-inch Midler Audison speaker. These two speakers combined, well, these two speakers alone are absolutely phenomenal. Combined in the soundbar, produces a beautiful sound, definitely an upgrade over your factory, and they can handle a ton of power. So don't be discouraged by the size of these. These are a phenomenal upgrade for the 24 plus. That's an easy solution for a plug and play. You remove the old speakers, you screw these into it, and your upgrade is complete. Something to note, the Audison Prima speakers for the 24 plus will have two speaker options for the soundbar. If you have the factory amplified system or the non-factory amplified system will determine which speaker bundle you're going to choose or you're going to receive for the soundbar. The factory amplified system is going to use the 4-inch woofer with the 1-inch tweeter. The non-factory amplified system will use the 4-inch coax with the 2-inch Midler Twiddler type of speaker. So two different options. They'll both be on the product page. One is going to be better for the factory amplified system, and the other is going to be better for the non-factory amplified system, again, with the details listed on the product page. The installation will be the same for both. So before we get into the install, I want to list a couple of the basic tools that you're going to need to help you along the way. We'll list those right here for you. And now we're ready to go ahead and get these installed. So let's go ahead and disassemble the dash and get everything disassembled, and then we'll show you the rest of the install. Now we're going to disassemble the dash to access the top dash speaker and the knee speaker in the 2024 Plus JL Wrangler or JT Gladiator. All right, so the first part of this, of course, is the disassembly. We're going to start with the top dash speakers. Super easy. You're just going to pop the grills off, unscrew 2 bolts on each side of the speaker, and the dash speakers are out. Next is the knee panel speakers. Like I said earlier on the bench, the level of difficulty, it's not difficulty, it's more on the easy side. It's time consuming. So we're going to get you through that. We're going to show you all the parts and pieces to remove there. Just give yourself plenty of time when you're going to do the knee panel speakers. And as far as, is it worth to do knee panel speakers? Absolutely, you get the huge upgrade from those knee speakers. So to start the disassembly, we're going to remove the top dash speakers first. These are super easy, of course. There's just one grill on each side. There's 2 grills. Pop the grill off. There's 2 screws on each speaker holding that in. That comes out. The new speaker goes in. Very easy. We'll show that to you in a second. We also have a guide to walk you through here of each part and piece, so you can use this video in parallel conjunction with the guide, and then it'll get you through that. So let's go ahead and start first with our dash speakers. All right, so let's go ahead and get disassembled here. We're going to remove this top part piece here first. That has to come off in order to get this trim piece off. So we're going to take this piece off and then the 2 corner dash speakers. There's this little piece that comes out that exposes the 2 bolts underneath. With your panel removal tool, just pop that out. You go to the other side, same thing, just pop this side out. And you see the two 7mm bolts. This is also a Phillips head. All along the Jeep, it's either a 7mm or a Phillips head. It's the same bolt, so you can use either tool for the same bolt. We're going to use for this one here a 7mm. Next, we're going to pop this piece off. There's a lip on here that's underneath here, so it's best to grab it from the back once you can pry up one of the sides and just pop it out just like I did. Something to note on here, when you pop these panels off, they're going to have these little clips on here. There'll be different colors throughout. Just want to make sure that you have the clips on the piece that you're taking off, so when you put them back in, it's easier to snap into place. So if you find one of these that doesn't have one of these clips on there, look wherever you took the panel piece out from and find the little plastic clip and put it back on the holder. Next, we're going to take the grills off, so let's start on the driver's side here. We're going to go ahead and take the screws out from this passenger side. I recommend getting yourself one of these little magnetic trays also. Super helpful just to keep track of your screws. Next, we can go ahead and get the speaker out here. Lift that off. The connection is directly into the factory speaker. And there's a little tab here that you're just going to push in when you pull the connector out. I'm going to do the same thing on the driver's side speaker. Just get these two screws out. And let's take the speaker out. Same thing, has a little tab to push in. Next, we're going to remove this top trim piece. This is to start the disassembly of the dash to get the knee panel speakers out. So to get this out, there are two screws, one here and one here. Next, you're going to pull from one side and pull the clips out and walk your way across the other side. So let's get these two screws out. So let's go ahead and start pulling from one side. When you do this, be careful in the middle here. It's kind of separated. It's connected, but it can separate. So just be careful when you get to the middle part here. Don't just grab the whole thing and rip it out. Do it in steps where you're doing kind of clip by clip until you get to here, and then you can rip the other side out. There you go. If you see it kind of bends and flex in the middle there, there's a little clip. So this is out, and so are all of the little plastic pieces that I was referring to earlier. So next we need to take the screen off. This is 5 screws on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this just pulls right out. And then I'm going to disconnect these two connectors in the back here. Set that aside. Next, we're going to move over to this side and start removing the panels over here, starting off in this large panel on the side of the dash. I'm going to pry this off with the panel removal tool. So now that this is exposed, there's a bunch of screws that have to come out of here. Definitely recommend getting yourself a 7mm wrench. This bolt here is behind this trim piece panel, so you're not going to be able to get a screwdriver straight on there. So get yourself a 7mm wrench. So the screws that are coming out is this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This takes off this panel. This screw here, 5, is holding in the speaker pod itself. And then these two up here, 6, 7, this is holding in this trim piece that has to come out as well. So from the side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next, we're going to pop this panel off here. Be careful when you take this off. There's little pieces of plastic for the knob here and behind there. So when you wedge it underneath, do it very carefully, delicately. So this has this little cover piece on here, and this cover piece can crack. Just kind of walk it around the edge like you saw me do there. Remove this piece here, this little red tab. Pull it out. Don't forget to reconnect this when you're putting it back together, or else you won't have lights. Now we're going to pull this trim panel piece off down below the steering wheel. It's going to expose a bunch of other screws. All right, we're going to pop this trim piece off here. So I have to remove this bar down here. There's a couple of bolts that come out. This screw comes out. This screw right here is holding in the knee pod, speaker knee pod also. There's 3. One we've already removed. This one here and one up on the side there. So this one comes out. These bolts come out. These screws come out. This bar has to drop in order to get the speaker pod out. So there's 2 on the side of the steering wheel column. One up right here, one here. Let's take those 2 out first. So there's 6 on the bottom here. There's a screw here, a bolt here, a screw here, a bolt here, and 2 more screws here. So these are your regular Phillips and 7mm, and these 2 are 10mm. So let's get these screws out first. Now switch over to the 10mm. Let's get these 2 bolts out. There's this one underneath here also. It's back to a 7mm. This is where I would recommend your wrench, possibly the ratcheting side. I'm going to pull this trim piece off of here. It exposes 2 bolts. And then I'm going to take these 2 bolts off of here. And this is allow me to take this top piece off. And then I need to take this piece off here, which I need to take these 2 bolts off of here. Once I get that piece off, it's going to allow me and expose a bolt that's up underneath here to take the bottom piece off. So let's do that. Just pop that out. And you see there are 2 screws behind here, where my fingers are. So reference the photo for these 2 screws, And also the guide shows these two screws very clearly in case you can't see them here. That's one. That's the other one. Now we can move up top and take these two screws out here. Now we can pull this top piece off. So next I'm going to take these two screws off to take this piece out because this is overlapping this. And then there's one more behind here that is the final one that's holding this in. Helps to have a couple different size, length sockets also. See, this piece was overlapping this clip here. So there's one more buried back behind here, and again we'll have a photo here of it. And this is also referenced in the guide. If you follow my finger in, where my finger lands is where that screw is that needs to come out. Now we can just take this whole piece out. There's one more bolt screw that's holding in the pod. It's behind this connector here. So you have to remove this connector, and there's a screw right behind here. Again, we'll have photo reference so we can pop up here for you. And this is also referenced in the guide. So first we want to unclip this antenna here first. So we'll remove this little box here, the little module antenna that's plugged into. There's a screw right below there. Just remove that, and then you can disconnect this in order to get that screw behind there. You can either just move this out of the way to get this screw. This is the last screw that's holding the pod in. So you just want to move that out of the way. Or you can disconnect it also. If you disconnect it, just remember to reconnect it. But we can just tuck it out of the way. Now, of course, the speaker is still connected behind there with the factory speaker connections. There's also a module behind here that's attached to the factory knee box, which will move that module over to the new pod once we get to that point. So there's still some more bracketry that needs to come off from the bottom in order to drop the speaker down. And this won't come out because this piece right here is in the way. Now, here's a little trick that you can do. You can cut this piece of plastic and you can pull the pod directly out if you don't want to drop the bar. That'll save you a lot of time. So it's a little quick cheat. We're not going to do that here, but you can do that on yours. You just cut this little bridge piece of plastic because this piece is what's preventing this pod from coming out. So to do it the long way is we're going to remove this bar down below to drop the pod down to have it so it'll clear this piece. So this last 8mm bolt needs to come out in order to drop the metal bar down. So you can just pull this bar and just kind of jimmy it out to release these two bars from it to get this low enough to drop the pod down. There you go. Now there is a couple of connectors that are attached here. So this is the speaker connector, the factory speaker connector, and there's this module down below here. It has two connectors on the bottom. We're going to disconnect this, remove the module. We're going to bring the module over to the new pod. The new pod has a spot for this to mount onto. So let's go ahead and disconnect the factory speaker first. Just push this little tab up top here, pops right out. And then same thing below, there's these two tabs to push to remove these connectors here. And there you go, just like that. Easy peasy, factory knee speakers removed. And now it's time to move to the passenger side to remove the passenger knee pod speaker. All right, now we're ready to remove the passenger side knee speaker pod. First we're going to drop the glove box and remove it. Then we're going to remove the side panel over here like we did on the driver's side. Remove those screws that are holding in the side of the pod as well as a couple of the trim piece panels. This side has a lot less going on to remove than the driver's side. We're going to, after remove those couple of screws, remove a few from the bottom of the glove box rear. We're going to gently pull this trim piece panel out, remove a couple of the screws holding the pod in from the front, and then we can remove the pod from the empty glove box area here. So this is a lot easier than the driver's side, a lot less going on than the driver's side. So let's get the glove box out of the way first. Drops down, there's a little clip inside here. You just push in the clip and pull the glove box down. And then it may or may not have this little swing arm connected. Now I'm going to remove this trim piece over here. I'm going to remove these screws here. It's this one. So there's 1, 2, 3. Similarly to on the driver's side, this one's behind this trim piece, so you're going to use your wrench to get in there. And also in this hole right here, there's a screw, and that is one of the screws that's holding in the factory pod. So 1, 2, 3, and this one here, 4. Not a bad idea to have a magnet stick handy also, just in case some of those screws do fall down into a cavity you can't reach. You can stick the magnet stick down there and grab them. Next thing, we want to get this one out here. There's that one out. There are 2 more screws underneath here, right where my fingers are at. Again, we have a photo that we'll put here for reference, and this is also in the guide on the disassemble passenger side portion. So there's 2 here. These screws here, on our Jeep, they don't have the Phillips head. This is only a 7mm. Your Jeep may have a Phillips head. We've seen different screws types in different Jeeps sometimes. So this one here does not have a Phillips head in it, so this is only the 7mm. If you look, this is a slightly different screw. So when you put these together, just make sure you're putting these 2 back in the same spot, the ones that don't have the Phillips head mark. So what that did, that just allowed us to be able to pull this out like this. And just being able to pull this out gives you enough room to be able to reach your hands behind here to unscrew the last couple of screws to get the pod out, and to be able to reach behind the pod to disconnect it. So this pulls out a pretty good amount here. You can feel the tab where that connector is attached. You can just push the tab in and slide it out. And again, we have a photo that we'll put in right here for you. And this is also included very detailed photo shots in the guide. Now I'm going to do the bottom screw. So with an open wrench, 7mm, you can get this one up here. go. Now you can just lower the pod right out. And there you go. Just know that the disassembly guide that we have, that is for disassembly of the dash speakers and of the dash, the trim, etc. Installation is now going to be covered under this video here, which is just doing everything backwards. So now we're ready to install our Audison 6.5-inch Prima speaker into the Jeep. Just note that our pod that we're installing here, we have added the additional SoundSkins Trail 7 bundle kit here. You can purchase this kit and you can add this onto your speaker pods if you wish. When you receive the speaker bundle, it's going to come without this SoundSkins kit. We'll have this kit available that you can purchase, and then when you receive the speaker pod, you'll just have to apply these pieces to the exterior. You'll remove the speaker, apply it to the inside, put the polyfill back in, put the speaker back in, and then you can mount the speaker and have your pod looking just exactly like this here. So we're going to go ahead and install this in. When we mount this, we're going to do the same thing backwards. However, we're going to put it into its spot. We're going to screw the bottom screw in first. We're going to connect the rear connector. And then we're going to put the top screw in. We're going to put the bottom one first, though, just to give it some stability. And just know that this is a 6.5-inch speaker with an aftermarket pod. This pod is about the same size as the factory, but it uses the same factory mounting location, so there's no cutting, drilling, altering, anything on your side. This is 100% direct plug and play. So let's go ahead and get this installed. This is the connector that's attached to the speaker pod. This is the factory connector down below here. We're just going to attach them like so. The bottom bolt is in. Let's go ahead and put the top bolt in. Hardest, most difficult screw out of the entire process. So the speaker pod is in. We're going to go ahead and button up the dash now. Just going to push this back together. Put these two screws back in. Remember, these are the two that don't have the Phillips head marking in them. This is just a 7mm. Once these go back in, we're going to put the side panel piece on, and then this passenger side knee pod will be completed. Of course, putting the glove box back in as well. And then we're going to move up to the dash speaker and then move over to the driver's side. And we're just doing everything we did backwards, so essentially. And now we'll get a side piece on after we, of course, put the couple of screws back in. So this one here is the third bolt that goes into the side of the pod. If you don't line it up correctly, then the screw may not hit the pod. So if it just spins freely, you may need to loosen the other screws on the pod and kind of move it around with your hand to find the spot. So as you see, there, that just goes nice and snug. Go ahead and put this panel back in. And then the glove box. And now we can move up to the dash. Dash speaker now. I'm just going to connect it to this guy here. Something to note, this is the Audison Prima tweeter. Like I said on the table, this comes with its own built-in crossover or inline crossover. And this does have a toggle switch on the side where you can adjust the dB from 0 to 2. We have it set at 2 for this install. You may want to plug it in, turn it on, see how that sounds, and just know that you can adjust the dB by 2 decibels up or down, either to 0 or +2. And we have it set at +2. So that just gets tucked away inside. And also this will come mounted just as you see it. This comes just exactly as you see it, plug and play here. Let's put the grill back on. There we go. Now we're going to move over to the driver's side and we're going to do the dash speaker and then the knee speaker. Driver's side, same as the other side. Connecting in. This is set at +2 on the dB. We're going to tuck this, set that. There you go. Now we're going to go to the knee speaker. Like I said earlier, this is the factory pod over here, and like I said, this module needs to move over to the new pod. So, factory pod, 4-inch speaker. This is the new 6.5-inch pod, and as I said over on the passenger side, we already have applied our Trail 7 SoundSkins deadening kit to this. When you receive yours, it's not going to come with this. You can purchase this kit, and you can apply these on your own. I recommend it. Definitely makes the pod help to make the speaker sound a little bit better, to give any enhancement it possibly can. So anyway, let's go ahead and move this module over. Just 3 screws to remove it, and then you'll see the spots over here on the new pod. Remove this little piece on here. If you have the SoundSkins piece on there, it won't screw down, and it's not needed because this is producing and providing plenty of squish. There you go. You can pull this little pad off of here. There you go. The module has been brought over to the new pod. We can go ahead and install our new 6.5-inch pod with the Audison Prima speaker, and we're going to do the installation just backwards than we did the disassembly. So let's get started installing it. Here you go, pod install. So what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to connect this module piece. One is wider than the other, so it can only go into one spot, so you can't get it wrong. There you go. Now let's connect the speaker. Let's go ahead and set this back up. Now what I would do is I'd go ahead and just screw this in halfway, partially, just to hold it up so you don't have to hold the speaker while you're moving this bar into place. And now it's being held for you. Now let's go ahead and get this bar positioned back. You'll notice the little clip on the bottom. There's also a little clip on the bottom here. You want this in the bottom slot. Holes line up. So you want to make sure these are lined up. Also want to make sure this one is lined up. This little tab here needs to be in this hole. Like that. So that's lined up. That matches the hole. That's lined up. These are all lined up. What I would do here also is the side screw, the side hole, this is the one that holds the pod in. I would go ahead and put that screw in now so that way the pod is secured. You go ahead and tighten the one up top in. Tighten this down. Go ahead and put these two 10mm bolts in. And go ahead and get this module back into place. If you did remove this antenna, this connector from the module, just make sure you reconnect that. Now there's a screw over here and right here. You can go ahead and put those two back in. Let's go ahead and put this 8mm bolt back in here. All right, now we can go ahead and start putting the panels back together here. There's a clip right up top here, and there's a screw along right behind this panel here. This goes underneath that like that. So let's get that screw in. There's also a screw on the bottom here. This is where your wrench comes into play. You can go ahead and put the side screws in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth bottom one being the one that you need the wrench for. There we go. Go ahead and put this piece back in. These two screws up top here. Now we have one more piece that comes on top of here. Now you have two screws holding it in behind this little flap. Two screws up top here. And two more screws on the side over here. There's one screw right here. There's one more right here. Now this trim piece goes back in. Like this. Our control module, our light module goes back in here. Don't forget to reconnect this. It's connected, and this just snaps right in. Then we have our side piece here as well. Now we're ready to put the top trim piece on and put the radio back in. All right, let's go ahead and get the radio piece in now. The radio sets in, connects in, then sets in, and there are 5 screws that hold it in. So we're gonna connect. Make sure that's pushed all the way in. Now it's 5 screws up top. Now let's put our trim piece dash in. And there are 2 screws holding this in right here. And you already saw these. It's same piece just coming out, doing it backwards. Tray goes in. This has a little lip on it, so you want to go on the front first. Hook it around and drop it down. There's 2 screws on each side. Now it's these last little pieces here that go in. Our Audison Prima speakers are installed, our dash is reassembled. We are now ready to move on to the rear. Now we're going to disassemble the soundbar to access the 4 speakers in the 2024 Plus JL Wrangler or JT Gladiator. We're going to remove the grill, remove the 4-inch and the 3-inch factory speakers. So let's go ahead and get this grill off. This is a 5mm Allen, so let's go ahead and get that out. You can let this dangle here if you want to while you're replacing the speakers. You can remove it. Let's go ahead and just remove it to get it out of our way. There's a little connector on the back here. Push that pin out and push the button. This little red tab, slide it out and then push the little button behind there. That disconnects the light. All right, so you're going to go ahead and remove the 2 factory speakers. This is a T20 Torx bit that's needed for that. So starting off the speaker over here. This little tab right here, just push the tab in, same thing as if the front speakers. This little tab right here. Same like on the front speakers. Let's go ahead and get this one out now. And this one just has this little tab right here that comes out. Now back in with the Audison Primas. This is a 2-inch middler. This is going to come directly to you, just as you see it here. The crossover inline installed, connector, everything ready to go. Bracket, this is how you're going to receive it. Now on to our 4-inch. So again, we're going to send this out to you just like this. It's going to be set up with the connector. We're also going to provide the bracket. This bracket's going to set over the speaker, and it's going to sandwich the speaker into the factory spot using the factory mounting locations and the factory screws. All right, now let's go ahead and put the grill back on. And as I said before, do not be discouraged by the size of these things. Even though it is the same factory size, these things are phenomenal. The output out of these things is super impressive. All right, there you go. Driver's side, speaker, soundbar install is complete. We're going to move on to the passenger side and do the same exact thing. There you go, done. Now we're going to show you the like I said earlier on the table there, we're going to show you the factory speakers. Let's see how great not these sound. That's 20, 25. 30, 35. All right, sounds pretty muddy. Now let's go ahead and show you the after. This is the Audison Prima speakers in a 2024 Plus Jeep that you saw us already install. So let's go ahead and play these. All right, so you get the picture. That's up to a 35. I went in little increments there. I started at 10 and bumped it to 15, 20, 25 slowly there. So if you hear that, every stopping point is 5 increments. I stopped at 35. Still had more to go, and it was still crystal clear. So as you can tell, this is definitely an upgrade, definitely louder over factory. What I want to do next, like I talked about in the tables, I want to show you on a screen what you just heard, because as I said earlier, if you're listening to this on your phone or computer or iPad or et cetera, what you're going to hear really is different than what it actually sounds like. But what you see on paper from what the microphone is picking up, that's what I want to show you. So we're going to get over next inside the studio, and I'm going to show you the factory on that screen as well as the Prima speakers on the screen so you can see the graph of what it's doing. So stick around, let's go see some more neat stuff on the screen. All right, everybody, we're obviously not in the car anymore. We're here in the studio. And why are we here? Well, because like I said down there, I wanted to show you what you're seeing. Actually, I want to show you what you're hearing. And the way to do that is to show you the RTA. It's a device to measure the frequency and the sound. I want to show you what the graph shows of the factory speakers compared to the Audison Prima speakers. So I have 2 graphs here showing the factory and one showing the Prima. And I'm going to show you some areas of what you're gaining out of the Prima speakers. And this again is just using the Audison Prima speakers to a factory power. There's no amplification, there's no aftermarket amp, there's no even factory amplifier. That is a straight bone stock, non-amplified Jeep. All right, everybody, so we have 2 screens here. On the left side is the factory speakers, and the right side is the Audison Prima speakers. What you see over here, these numbers represent your dB. And these numbers, these small numbers here in the bottom represent your frequencies. So what you're looking at is your low to high. So these are your low range frequencies. These are your mid range frequencies, and these are your high range frequencies. So as I said, when we were playing the factory, remember I said how muddy it sound? Of course, because you have nothing but lows and mids all kind of smashed together here. You don't have any clarity. So you're hearing all of this jumbledness, but you're not hearing any clarity out of it. Now, flipping over to the Audison Prima speakers, if you notice, comparing this range to this range, you gain a tremendous amount of mids and a tremendous amount of high. So your clarity is absolutely noticed when you're listening to the Audison Prima speakers. On the mid side of it, you still have a great amount of mids. So the mids with the highs, you're getting great sound out of that. On the low side, the Prima speakers don't have as much low as the factories do, which is surprising somewhat. It's not surprising in the sense of the factory knee speaker is in a ported box, and that ported box does actually produce a good bit of low end range out of it. And absolutely you're seeing that here. So you don't have as much here from the factory speakers. You're definitely going to hear the music better. You're going to hear better quality, better sounding, better clarity. And don't worry about this area here, because this is easily substituted with an easy small powered subwoofer or your amp system that's going to bring in your subwoofer, etc. So we can absolutely fill this area in as well. So there's 2 shots. That shows your factory. This shows your Audison Prima speakers. As I said on the table when we did the introduction, this is a great start to upgrading your audio system. Start with the speakers and then add from there where you want to go with it, or just go straight to the system. Of course, this is going to be a great just straight system alone, but start with the speakers. You're going to see a huge improvement over your factory. Just with this area here, you're going to hear your music. It's going to be great quality, great crispiness, etc. So there you have it. There's the before and after clips as promised, as well as the visual demonstration of what you were hearing on screen. Hope that showed a good demonstration. Feel free, please, to comment below if this was helpful to you. I hope it was. All right, everybody, there you have it. Our Audison speaker bundle has been installed into our 24 Plus Jeep here. Hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you saw how easy that was to install. Yes, the knee speakers are definitely a task. They're not difficult, as you can see. They're just time consuming. Make sure you allow yourself plenty of time to get them done. If you'd like to pick up your plug and play bundle for your Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator, please visit us today at www.trail7.com. Until next time, we'll see you out there.